Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to a tour of my drum set, my kit. So essentially, I have done a kit tour before. I have a video on the channel right now that a lot of you have probably seen, but I know that there's definitely some of you that haven't. It was posted at a much earlier phase in the channel. I think we were only around 30K subs back then. And over the last year, a lot's changed with my drum set, especially lately, going into this Saw is the Law cover that I did with Jerod just because in order to match all of the elements that were going on in that Whitechapel track, I had to add things like another tom, and I have some stuff going on the left that I haven't had ever before. So we're gonna talk about that in this video. I'm gonna start on the top level, sort of cymbals. We'll work our way down. We'll go through cymbals, and we'll go through the shells, the skins, and go down to hardware last. So just before we dive in, I'm gonna say one more thing, and that is that every piece of hardware, cymbal, shell, wood, whatever it is listed in the description below. I have a bunch of links with all of the gear I use, not just at the drum set, but also in the audio and video side of things as well for everything we do here on the channel. So you can check out all those in those links in the description. As well, I will include at the top of the description any other gear videos that are kind of related to this kit tour, because I do have videos breaking down, like this China, for example. I've done a video sort of reviewing the China. The kick pedal, you all saw a review video recently, as well as an unboxing about a month ago or 2 months ago now on that kick pedal. So those will all be linked in the description. So product links, videos related to the equipment, all in the description. You can check that out. Now, let's get right into it. So yeah, we're gonna start here on the right side of the kit. This is a 20-inch Baizen Equilibrium sandblasted China. This is the Matt Garcia Signature Series China, and I love this China. I love most of the stuff. I mean, if I say I love after every piece, it'll probably be the whole kit, except for the kit itself. It's kind of aging at this point, and I am looking for a replacement. But with that being said, I really love this China. And I actually just noticed when I came down here that I have a slight hairline crack, and I'm going to have to cash in a warranty on this guy. Anyways, moving right along. So this guy right here, this is a 12-inch dark trash stack. It's a Meinl Classic Custom Cymbal, part of their dark series. Essentially, it is a, I guess you could say like a 12-inch vented splash on top with like a 12-inch mini China on the bottom. Here, I'll just take it off so we can take a look at the actual layers. That's the top layer there. And this is the bottom layer. I guess, like I said, this top layer, kind of like a splash, I guess, just because it's a small crash cymbal, essentially. And then same thing here, we've got 3 little vents, and it is curled up at the edge, so that's why I'm labeling the bottom part of the stack a China cymbal. These aren't bought separately. This comes as one product. It comes as the stack. So you can purchase it on Sweetwater or wherever you grab your gear. You can purchase this guy in either the 12-inch, and I think it's either 16 or 18. I think it might be 16. I think they come in 12 and 16s. They really are affordable for what you're getting. I've been having a lot of fun with this guy. It's very quick. There's not like a lot of detail to it. I kind of been subbing it out for like a half open hi-hat in cases where I want to put like a hi-hat in a fill, but I can't get back to the hi-hat because my right hand is maybe on the right side of the kit working the floor tom, or I'm already on the China and it's just right below it. Just kind of a quick and easy way to get to what sounds like a hi-hat without getting back all the way over to the left side of the kit kind of thing. Working from the stack of the China to the left in towards the kit, the next cymbal we're going to come to is my Baizen's 19-inch medium thin crash. I love this guy. The best way to describe it is like a perfectly balanced explosion. It really hits hard, but it's not too brilliant and it's not too dark. It sits like in a perfect place so that this is versatile enough to use it in choruses, use it in verses, use it as accents. And the size, 19 inches, I love that. I don't want to go up to like 20 or 21. I don't want to go down to 18. I think that 19 on my dominant right hand, just using this for like quarter notes or eighth notes in a chorus, it's just the perfect cymbal for that. And I really, really love this guy. So just below the 19-inch medium thin crash, I have another cymbal by Meinl. This is the Baizen's 22-inch heavy hammered ride. This is the first ride cymbal that I've ever owned. That's not true. This is the first ride cymbal I've owned in a very, very long time. Since going on, like making videos on YouTube. My very, very first videos on YouTube, I might have had like an old AAX stage ride way back in the day, like 6 years ago now. In the last 4 or 5 years, all of my sort of ride cymbals, or anytime that I am playing like a ride pattern in a cover, has just been on like one of these crash rides that I have, because I have several versions of crash rides that I've used just as like a chorus cymbal, but I can also get some stick articulation on the top and then use for ride patterns if there's any in a cover. But typically, yeah, I just haven't really had much of a place at the kit for a ride cymbal until learning this cover with Jerod, the Saw is the Law. And I love it. I love having a ride cymbal again. It's been really, really fun. This guy just has a ton of ping, and then the bell on it, oh my God. Like the bell is massive. The bell, it fills this entire space. Some of the other bells I have, like the bell on my Polyphonic, it just cannot compare to like a standard ride bell, and how explosive and how well this cuts through this whole space when I'm playing in here. It's been a lot of fun. I've definitely really enjoyed having a ride cymbal again. Okay, so I switched you to the other side of the basement because we're now taking a look at the left side of the kit as far as what I got for cymbals over here. So the next guy we're gonna take a look at is my 10-inch Baizen's Dual Splash. These splash cymbals have become increasingly popular. I think the reason why is just because They just sound so cool. You could do so much with this cymbal. It's got so much feel to it. Like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It decays really quickly, so it really accents well and sort of cuts pretty quick, but it's got such a unique texture. Very, very cool. I really enjoy the dual splash. Luke Holland uses the dual splashes, and I've seen a lot of other drummers starting to actually add these to the kit. They're kind of thin. I've cracked a couple of them for sure. The cracks are never big. They're just like these little hairline guys, but they definitely change the tone. They're really, really sick. I love that splash. So moving up and to the left, away from the splash cymbal, the next guy we're gonna come to is this MDM BRT blended splash. This is a TRX cymbal. This is one of, I guess, what, 3? 1, 2, 3? Yeah, this is one of the 3 TRX cymbals I have left on the kit, and all 3 of these are just waiting to crack. The moment they crack, I'm gonna swap these out, but I've just essentially been swapping out and purchasing other pieces, and I just haven't gotten around to replacing them. Plus, they're doing the trick. Like, they're really not that bad a cymbal. I enjoy the vinyl stuff more, for sure, without a doubt, but these guys, yeah, they're doing the job. This guy's got more texture to it because it's the 2 different types of cut blended together. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about this just because you've heard it so many times. This cymbal, actually, the ALT, we'll get there in a sec, but they've been in almost all the covers on the channel. The ALT has actually been in every single cover I think I've ever uploaded. So you've heard these cymbals before. There's nothing crazy about them. They just get the job done. There's something that I can hit really hard on the left side of the kit. So that's the MDM BRT. This is an 18-inch cymbal. This is the ALT. This is a 17-inch crash cymbal. Same thing, pretty much just another TRX cymbal, and I will be replacing eventually, but right now we're just kind of, one piece at a time. Moving down from there, my hi-hats. These are LTD 14-inch hats. This is one of the cymbals that I still really, really dig from the TRX stuff that I have yet to replace. It's just so crunchy. Like, it's so thick and crunchy. There is kind of like 3 separate zones to the cymbal, I guess. Like, the outside has a bit of a different texture than the inside because the inside is more of like a finer cut, like a finer lathe. And then the center part, the bell, is kind of has a cool texture onto itself, but nothing crazy going on there. I just have always really enjoyed these hats. A big part of it too, I think, is because they're pretty high volume, really high volume hats, just to like really wail on an open hi-hat and fill out a mix. And then moving on from the left, we're gonna come to the last cymbal, and this guy is brand new. This is the first video you've seen this in. I got this for the Saw is a Law because of that part where I'm holding, I guess, 16ths on the ride cymbal, and I have to be doing all of this like left-hand melody work with the hi-hat, the 2 crash cymbals, this guy, and the splash. It's like the second pre-chorus in that song. I'm not sure. Anyways, this guy is a Baizen 16-inch extra dry China, and I'm really enjoying it. It's just cool to have the extra dry on the left side of the kit. I've been playing around with like just doing full breakdowns where I'm just keeping the quarter, the 1/8 on the left side and using this guy, and then maybe like back and forth, like really quick accents back and forth to the 2 Chinas. And it's pretty cool too, because like if you have the 2 Chinas on either side of the kit, of course you pan those separate with the overheads, you get like this kind of this like China echo, depending on how you play those or how you write out your different fills and stuff. I did do that at one point in the Saw is a Law. I kind of came down really hard on the right and then to the left. So yeah, it's just been a lot of fun to play around with. Super incredibly dry. I mean, it's called extra dry, so you get the idea with that guy. So that's been it for the cymbals. The next level we're gonna take a look at is just my shells. These shells aren't really a surprise to you guys, but that's what we're gonna dive into next. So let's take a look at that. So you've seen my kit in the kit tours. You've seen my kit all over the place. I've talked about the different sizes, but what's going on. This is a Crushed Sublime E3. These are all Crushed Sublime E3 shells. They're 100% American maple. The plies vary depending on the piece that we're talking about. The sizes on these guys are super simple. So this is a 10-inch, a 12-inch, and a 16. I believe this is 12x8 and this is 16x16. And I think this is 10x7. And then yeah, I mean, not a whole lot to talk about there outside of I'm using Evans EC2s on all 3 of them. I've got on some moon gels just to deaden them, especially the 16x16 because of how deep 16 inches is. There's a lot of resonance there, and I find that I definitely need some dampening to sort of make it just more punchy, more attack, not so boom and like carry. But yeah, so that's it for the toms. The snare drum is a 7x13 or 13x7 American maple, as I said before. Nothing crazy going on here. It's like, you've heard it so many times, right? Like, you guys know the kit. The head on this guy is a new head. Usually you see the Evans Onyx, which is that black head that I like so much. I was actually gonna reskin this with an Evans Onyx, but the music store that I shop at most didn't have it in stock. So I went to, this guy is one of the old heads that I used to use a lot before discovering the Onyx. It's just an Evans Genera Dry. Lastly, the kick drum is a 20-inch by 20-inch American maple again. And on that guy, I actually have right now, I have the Evans EMAD. I don't have the EMAD 2. Usually I have the EMAD 2. I went back to the EMAD. I don't know. It's really working right now. Super, super punchy. I like the sound of that head, and I like the sound of the kick drum a lot. The kick drum, I think, is my favorite part of the set. The kick drum and the snare. I'm not crazy in love with the toms. They do the trick. The floor tom's pretty good. I like the floor tom. I'm not a big fan of the rack toms. I have a hard time sort of getting them to sit where I want them all the time and to stay there. But the snare drum is fun to play around with if you're into 13-inch snares. And the kick drum, oh my God. It's just like, it has the right amount of low end, but then also has so much punch, which is what I really need for these metalcore tracks that I'm covering most on the channel. Moving down from the shell level, let's talk about the hardware. So the first thing we'll talk about is just below the shells, my brand new kick pedal. I'm now playing the Trick Bigfoot Pro 1V pedal. I did multiple videos on it, so you can find those in the description. As I've already mentioned, anything that has to do with the products at the kit. If I have any other videos, they will be linked in the description, and you can find direct links to purchase any of the stuff if you want to check that out, description below. And with that said, I'm not gonna really talk a whole lot about the kick because I just did like I think it was a 16 or 17 minute review video where I talked really in depth. Definitely go check that out if you're more interested in what I think of this new kick. But having said that, let's talk about the rest of the hardware. This is a Frankenstein kit for the most part. I have different pieces of hardware everywhere. We'll just move from left to right, I guess. So this stand is really as Frankenstein as it comes. I have 3 different manufacturers of hardware creating this boom that I have set up here. The bottom is actually like the old tripod off of a really old busted Pearl stand. This guy here, this clamp, is actually a tom holder that came with the Crush kit, but I don't use the stock tom holders that came with the kit because we'll talk about that in a sec, but I have a DW mount that actually holds both my toms, so I don't use those. So what I've done is I've just repurposed it to hold up this dog bone arm. This is a DW9000 dog bone arm that came with the tom holder that I'm using over here as just another boom stand. To just save some cash, I just sort of put this together instead of buying like a brand new DW9000 or something like that. Over to the left from here, this guy in here is just a DW, it's the 9700 series, so essentially it's just the 9000 boom stand, but it's the reinforced one or whatever. It's really just a DW9000 boom. We've seen them a million times. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So the hi-hat stand is Tama Road Pro. It's very old at this point. They don't sell this version of it. I'm gonna be upgrading that guy soon. It's definitely seen its day. The hi-hat stand really needs to go. The stand I have behind here is another Tama Road Pro, and I have one of the DW Boom extender arm thingamajigs. I think they're called, there's a link in the description below. I can't remember the specific name for that product, but it's just this guy. You can clamp it to any stand and it'll just hold a cymbal. I have a couple of them at the kit and I have a couple just on the side because they're really great just for like versatility. You can take any like low, smaller cymbal, really just attach it anywhere you want. If you want to like sneak it in like I've done with the Splash and like I've done with the Stack that we'll get to in a minute. Yeah, so this is the Tama Road Pro Boom, as I mentioned, holding that crash cymbal back there. This guy is a DW9000 tom rack. It holds 2 toms, and then it came with this dog bone that we talked about here a minute ago. So you can actually mount off it. You can mount 2 cymbals and a rack, or you can mount 2 racks and a cymbal. There's a lot of other options if you want to buy additional parts for it to like expand it to hold up to 2 cymbals and 2 racks. Just a really, really versatile piece of gear. The thing I like about it too is I have my kit set up now with the 2 racks, which will be staying for a little bit. I've got a couple covers in mind that I'm actually going to use this setup for before going back to my sort of more metalcore, sort of simplified version of the kit. And the thing I like about this stand the most, it allows me to mount the rack toms in a way that they're like to the left and right of this of the snare drum, instead of snare drum, rack tom, kick drum, right? Because like a lot of time you'll see the rack toms mounted over top of the kick drum. When I had 2 rack toms years and years ago, I set them up like Cobus did, because he was one of my earliest influences watching his YouTube videos. And he always had the 2 rack toms sort of centered like this with some kind of like crash or ride over here, and then a couple floor toms out to the right off that. And I really like the feel of this sort of config better, and it's a little bit more wider. I just like it better than having the rack toms over the kick drum because, I don't know, it's quicker and easier to just get up to the rack tom level and come back down to the snare. But that being said, going around the toms, like starting on the left and moving through the toms, definitely a little bit longer because you have this big gap between the mid tom and the floor tom. The snare drum is just mounted on another Tama Road Pro piece. It's due for an upgrade for sure. All of the Road Pro gear came with my second drum set ever. It was like a full pack. It was the Tama like Superstar, the black one. A lot of guys have that kit. It was really popular back in the day. It came with 2 rack toms, 2 floor toms, a kick drum, a snare drum, and then full set of hardware, no cymbals. And I still have some of the Road Pro. As you can see, I have the stand back in there. I have the hi-hat stand. I have the snare stand. That's all Tama Road Pro. It's doing the job for now, and I got other bigger fish to fry in the meantime, so just kind of letting it chill for the moment. I'm gonna switch sides again so we can take a look at the right side of the kit as far as hardware. So let's do that real quick. So this ride cymbal, I bought the ride cymbal brand new for this cover, as I already mentioned earlier in this video, and I actually got the stand with it, so I bought that all as one package. The stand is a DW9700 ride stand. It's kind of a cool little stand because it just doesn't have 2 stages of extension. It's only got 1 stage. It's just meant for ride cymbals. Anybody who's got like a lower cymbal set, it just works really well. It's very affordable. Like I strongly recommend anybody who sets up their ride cymbal like this, or a cymbal that's at this level, nice and low, closer to your toms, your floor toms, definitely grab this ride stand because it's affordable and it's so heavy duty because it is the DW9000 line. So moving up to the right, this is another DW9000 stand. Nothing really to say there. I've got a couple of them at the kit, and they're what I'm sort of aiming for in the long run. Like, I want to switch all of the hardware out for those guys because they're the most reliable, most durable. They're the way to go when it comes to hardware for the cymbal stands, at least. And then finally, the last cymbal stand we're going to talk about is this mount thing I got set up here. We got two cymbals on it. This is another one of those extenders I talked about. This is actually the Pearl version. I have a couple of the DW ones, like I mentioned. There's one there on the Splash, and then there's two more in storage. I actually got them after I had already set this up, so I never swapped it out for the Pearl one, and the Pearl one's doing a good job. So really, really simple. It just attaches anywhere on this straight stand, and it creates this little boom that I can put this little guy on. And then I have just a straight Tama Road Pro. So this is another remnant of that old kit, of my second kit. Just came with the Road Pro set that all came with for that Tama kit. So the last piece of hardware we're going to talk about here at the kit is this throne. This is a brand new drum throne. I've got a couple of them now. These are my old ones. This one, this black guy here, this Tama thing I use. I got this is the Tama first chair model. I got this used off a friend. I think I got this one for free. This one was on the electric kit. This one was my primary throne for a long time. I don't know the product number or any information on it other than it has the Mapex logo on it. It's the same concept with this new one, but I have the backrest. The reason why I got the backrest on this guy, I mentioned in the pedal video I did that Adam really helped me over the last 2 months to figure out how to get faster. So I just sort of did a lot of the things he said. He suggested this throne. He suggested the shoes we're going to talk about here momentarily. And all of it was just to get fast enough to be able to perform those 16th note blasts at 235 beats per minute for that cover I just did. And that's what the backrest was for. I was so many years on no backrest that I didn't really utilize it like I think I should have, even after so much practicing on it. But it did help a little bit. It did help for stability. I could push into my back a little bit more and kind of drive down into my legs. But what I found was the technique that I was kind of using to actually flick the pedal, the way I had set that up, I'll do a video on that in the future, but the technique that I was using really didn't rely much on being able to push back, and I didn't really actually utilize this as much as I think I would have liked to. So the technical name for this guy is the Pearl D2500 BR Roadster Throne. If you guys want to check that out, of course, all the stuff, links, description below, you can check it out there. It's really heavy duty. I like that about it. This is removable, the backrest here, so you can just slip that off real easy and just put that aside, and you can bring that back anytime you want, and it just becomes like a regular throne. And I'll probably be going back to no backrest just because that's what I'm comfortable with. As also, if you guys watch my covers, you know how much I like to headbang and throw my sticks around. So we don't need a backrest getting in the way of any of that, of course. I'll probably just be going back to just like this, but at least I have it there in case for the future if I want to hit up any faster songs and maybe make use of that guy. So that's what's going on with the throne, and that's why you actually see a backrest, which you've never seen before in any of my videos. The last two things we're going to talk about right before I go into the shoes, which is what we're going to finish off with. I'm just going to mention the rug that my drum is on. I have a couple drum rugs. I paid like 50, 75 bucks at IKEA for these rugs. Nothing crazy. You can just go on the IKEA site and grab. They're all about 4x6 and they fit a drum set perfectly. Just kind of a little bit more decoration. Really, that's all it's there for, because the rug is actually on top of another rug, so there's no reason to have it. I just like the look of it. The black and white's kind of cool for the overhead shots down here in the basement because everything's black and white. At least that's how it's been since the curtains and the lights have been put in. So yeah, that's that. Now lastly, let's take a look at those shoes that I've been talking about. So these are the shoes that I used for that last cover. These are, I hope I'm not butchering the pronunciation. I think it's Vratim. It's a company that makes drumming shoes. These are shoes designed for the drum set. I like them. I actually was surprised. I've always gone barefoot. Even when I played with shoes, I never had like a specific drumming shoe. And to go from barefoot to shoes was very awkward at first. First couple weeks for sure. But once I got used to it, I think they helped. You know, like a lot of guys say like you can use Vans. There are other brands of shoes that work just better for drumming. These were kind of like, these kind of, I guess, were designed with the drum set in mind in a way that they took the aspects of other branded shoes that worked well at the drum set, and they just took what those shoes did for you and they packaged it into one thing that is good to go for the drum set. I guess that's the concept. And yeah, I found that they made a difference. The biggest thing about them that made a difference was there's a point at the end of the pedal on these new pedals that I have where you kind of want to, I have been lining up this part here, the center of the shoe. So like the bridge, the center part, I line this up to pivot on the back of the pedal. Because on the pedals I have the trick pedals, the board goes all the way to the end. There's no heel plate. So I line this up on the very back of the heel plate and then push forward like that. And then I use my calf to actually push with the toe like that. I don't think I'd be able to do that technique with barefoot just because of how much it would hurt, sort of being on the angle right against the center of the bottom of an exposed foot. So they really helped with that. And this kind of goes back to what I said about the throne. I talked to Adam and Adam just said this is what he does to go fast. So I was like, okay, shoes, check. Throne, check. Pedals, check. check. Let's see if we can do this. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the approach I had because I was going into an area that I had never been before. 200 beats per minute and up drumming just was never something that I really ventured into. But now that I'm there, I'm enjoying it. And I think I have some other covers planned in the future that are gonna be in that ballpark as well. So you're gonna see some more speed on the channel, probably see more of these shoes, definitely see more of that throne. Now, with all that being said, the last thing I'm gonna mention real quick, for all of those of you who don't know, this is the Firth Thomas Lang Signature Series stick. This is the only stick I will ever play. I strongly recommend any guy at home who likes bigger, heftier, thicker sticks. Like if you've tried the Firth Rock or you've tried the Firth Metal, give these guys a shot. I think that what you're gonna find is, yes, they're a little bit bigger, but the balance on them makes up for the the heaviness. Makes it, I don't know, the balance is dope. Definitely give it a shot. I love these sticks to death. I've been talking about them since I started making videos about my gear. So a lot of you probably already knew that I play with these. I've posted about them on my socials before, of course, and I'm still playing with the Thomas Lang Signature Series by Firth. And that pretty much sums up this video. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this updated kit tour. Huge thank you to all of my patrons for supporting the channel and making videos like this one possible. So thank you to all the patrons. If you guys want to support, you can get involved through the Patreon or the merch store in the description below. You can check out links to all of the gear we talked about in the description below, as well as other product highlight videos, breaking down some of them more in depth. I have the Vinyl Baizen's Polyphonic Ride that was highlighted in the same video as the Equilibrium China. You can check out that video. I have unboxing videos for those guys. I have videos for my old kick paddle, my new kick paddle, all that you can find in the description below, and check out some more gear videos and we'll go into more depth. As well, you can check out my studio tour where I break down some of the other things that are going on here in this space, and I have links to all of the equipment that I used on the audio and video side as well in the description below. I know this is a huge outro. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can connect with me further at my social media links on the screen for you right now, as well as in the description below. Thank you so much for checking out this video, and I will see you guys all very, very soon with something new.